Well, it's China testing Biden, but also testing the regional security architecture. This coming year is the 100th anniversary of the Communist Party of China, and Xi Jinping is determined to really represent the Communist Party's strong desire to reunify Taiwan peacefully. But if by force, they will do so. So I think the test is not just on the Biden administration; it's on the regional security and, of course, testing the cross-strait relations.
Now, Taiwan says China sent planes into its airspace on both Saturday and Sunday. The latest incident saw 16 planes as opposed to a handful that they usually send, like 3 or 4. Why are they ramping it up this much this time around?
Well, I think there's some of this is related to the former administration's relaxing U.S.-Taiwan relations at the state level. And I think that is something very significant. The former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and President Trump basically said that U.S. administrative facilities could have normal relations with Taiwan. This fundamentally challenges the One China policy that is really the basic foundation and the framework for U.S.-China relations, but any country's relations with China. So I think that China is sending the strongest of signals to both Taiwan and the United States that if they do plan to have state-to-state relations or de facto state-to-state relations, that China will protest vehemently and will use military might to push back against the United States and Taiwan's actions.
The fact that they're sending so much military might, though, isn't there a higher chance that there could be an accident in that sort of a situation and that would give Beijing an excuse to attack?
Well, the modus operandi of China has always been to create the conditions where it causes their counterparts to retaliate. So basically, it looks like the other counterpart has caused the problem. And I think that Beijing is willing to use this modus operandi again to try and test the Taiwanese, to push the Taiwanese, and to pressure them to making a mistake. And if they do make a mistake, that could legitimize Beijing's more forceful approach to Taiwan and perhaps an invasion this year or in the coming years. And this is something that nobody wants. But again, it's a long-standing practice of trying to create the conditions so that Beijing does appear to be on the defensive rather than on the offensive.
Now, in a recent analysis, you said that Biden's aim is to recalibrate the US-China relationship, but you also encouraged the administration to continue the approach set up by Donald Trump.
I'll be a little more nuanced. I think that Donald Trump did some things very well when it comes to China. He changed the tempo. He was unpredictable. He was willing to push the red line on human rights, Xinjiang, Hong Kong, and again, standing up for Taiwan and Taiwan's democracy. And I think that is something that's really important for not only the United States and many countries. But that being said, I think the Biden administration should take a much more multilateral approach. It should work with Japan, with Taiwan, with other countries within the region to push back against, I think, assertive behavior in the East China Sea and the South China Sea. And again, any kind of assertive behavior towards Taiwan. Taiwan, it's a part of China, at least on paper. It's a vibrant democracy. It transfers powers peacefully. This is something very symbolic and important for not just Taiwan, but for all countries in the Indo-Pacific. And I think that the Biden administration should pick up some of those strengths of the former Trump administration, while at the same time use that multilateral, rules-based, alliance-based approach to security cooperation within the region.
So just on that point, you say Biden's approach to China will be deeply rooted in multilateralism. So what does that mean for the region, and what role do you see Australia playing in Biden's plan to address China's growing influence in the Pacific?
So Biden's approach will be deeply based on multilateralism. And let's be clear about that. Multilateralism means working with Australia, working with Japan, working with other partners within the region. Multilateralism will be not just in terms of the security front. Multilateralism will be in terms of infrastructure connectivity within the region, in terms of trade agreements, in terms of technology, and working with like-minded countries like Australia to send the signal to China that assertive behavior within the region, eschewing international law, and really a further expansion of the violation of human rights will not be acceptable by the United States, but also by alliance partners and those important partners of the United States.
Now, Beijing has never ruled out using force to take back Taiwan. After all the drama that unfolded last year in Hong Kong, what should Taiwan's approach be from here on in?
It should be very, very cautious not to provoke Beijing, but at the same time, it should continue to try and strengthen its relations around the world with countries that are democratic countries or countries that have shared values with Taiwan. It can do that by working in health organizations, in fishery organizations at various different levels. And Taiwan has already done that, for example, with Japan. Its fisheries organization and Japan's fisheries organization has come to a non-state level agreement of how to deal with the fishery resources around the Senkaku Islands. And I think that Taiwan should continue to do that and continue to demonstrate that it has strong, robust democratic institutions, but it's not willing at the same time to unilaterally declare independence against Beijing.
Stephen Nagy, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.